Oh, hi! You caught me live streaming. Speaking of live streaming, let's live stream. Oh, what a fantastic opening. Hello, folks. Welcome to a Comic Tropes live stream. Yeah, an art live stream. So, I have explained this in the last couple videos. I'm helping a friend of mine out with a GoFundMe, trying to help him with a financial situation. So I volunteered to do a number of commissions. And so I've got those requests coming in. And this particular request is for Ein from the anime Cowboy Bebop. And fortunately for me, Ein is nothing more than a Welsh Corgi, a Pembroke Welsh Corgi. So I'm drawing something very realistic this time. I've started laying some of that out, and I'm looking for a template. I'm just looking to add a little dog collar there. I think something like that should do. And yeah, let's see. Oh, great. We've got some folks joining the live stream. Hello to Janice and Harvey, Perry Comics, SPTV, Sigamigs, Lil Snickers, What Is This? Retro Advance, Drink More Pebis, Swoosh McJuice, that's a funny one, Sigamigs, and J. Andrew World. Wow, that is quite a bit. So, if you're not familiar, Cowboy Bebop is a truly fantastic anime series. Just one season of 26 episodes, plus a movie. And most of the episodes are standalones, but there is actually an overall continuity as well. And the characters are just really likable. And it's sci-fi, but it's the kind of sci-fi that's easily accessible because there are no aliens, there are no space lasers. It has interstellar travel, but it's all about bounty hunters. So anyway, hello to, let's see, I've got Turge and Gantris, Scott Sampson, Andrew Jefferson, and Jay Muse. And Scott Sampson says, for shame, Ein is much more than a corgi. He's a very good boy. Well, that's fair. You got me on that one. So, yeah, this was kind of, I actually really enjoy drawing from life. So I spent a little bit of the last afternoon just sort of sketching corgis. I liked how this one came out. So I'm going to throw down some inks. I'm going to, I think, lay in some color with some Copics as well, because it just seems like a really fun challenge. But aside from that, I don't think this one will take that long. There's just not a lot of like detail. If I add too much detail, I think in this particular case, I could make it look very realistic, but you'd sort of be taking away from the fact that it's based on a cartoon, which has a very simple, streamlined design. So I don't want to I want to be accurate to my style, which is kind of based in reality, but I don't want to go so far realistic that it sort of takes away from the fact that I'm drawing a cartoon character. Hello to Sheldon, and yeah, thanks so much. It's really nice to see so many folks jump in. That's fantastic. If you haven't seen Cowboy Bebop, this isn't really a spoiler, but Ein is what's called a data dog. He was the crew of the ship never really know this, but he was he's bred with advanced intelligence. He has intelligence along the lines of a smart person, but he's still a dog, so I don't think he really cares too much whether they know or not. But he's shown here and there to be doing be able to do complex equations or solve chess moves. So it's kind of he's the comic relief. He's the comic relief. And the show can get pretty serious sometimes, so you definitely need that. But it's funny too, and it's great animation. And it tells a full story. That's the really cool thing. By the end of episode 26, a full story has been told. What are my favorite episodes of Cowboy Bebop? You know, I have to admit that it's been a little while since I've watched it. So, off the top of my head, it's I mean, I definitely love the first and the last two episodes because they sort of are the mythology. I remember the one with the lady trucker. That one was pretty dope. I love the movie with Vincent. The movie's quite good. How would you describe your main drawing style? I would say, I mean, just that I try to base it a lot in reality. So I go for realism. And I'll be honest, I think that can be a detriment sometimes. I do worry about things being too stiff, not like, full of enough motion or anything. It's definitely a concern. So that's something that I'm always sort of trying to fight against. Make sure that things don't look overly referenced, because that's just not my personal favorite thing. However, I really like very clean, precise line work, and so that's why I sort of keep ending up with pieces like this. Some of my favorite artists are guys with very clean line work, like Corey Walker, Dave Johnson, Eric Kinnett. So that's something that appeals to me. Let's see what else. The one with the floating guy was pretty good. Oh yeah, that's right, the floating guy. See, I haven't thought about this in a while. Do you think the live action Cowboy Bebop will ever happen? Yeah, I do think that will happen. It seems like it would be a no-brainer. It seems like it should not be an overly difficult piece to adapt, actually. But who knows? You could argue that it sort of has been adapted by some other things. I think that if you look at a show like Firefly, I think it's pretty heavily influenced by Cowboy Bebop. Sort of any space-based bounty hunting, I think, owes a fair amount to Cowboy Bebop. But it's got a lot of unique elements that make it its own thing and stand out as memorable. One thing is the fact that it's got some pretty dope music. It's got a really cool jazz score. It's very energetic, very energetic. Firefly was influenced by Outlaw Star. Okay, yeah. Hello, Mandela Butterfly. Is Netflix doing it? I'm not sure. Let's see. Steampunkster says traced. Not quite traced. I was saying earlier that I've been sketching corgis. I have been looking at photo reference. So I've got a few other sketches that I left downstairs. This one was coming out the closest to the way I wanted it. It is definitely heavily referenced. And I think that's honestly my biggest weakness as an artist. I'm very aware of it, and it frustrates me that I... Because here's what'll happen. Say I'm just sort of bored and I'm sitting around. I'll draw, and I feel like my drawings will come out very good. And then when I have something like this, which is a commission, man, do I feel the pressure. And I start looking at reference because I'm like, I don't want to screw up. But I basically need to build up my confidence level, and I feel like I can draw, and I shouldn't be so beholden to reference because I want it to have energy. I want it to look good, but I want it to have energy. So that's my personal path. Trying to become a better artist. Having more confidence and not feeling obligated to even look at reference all the time, or at least not directly. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's see. No Justice, No Peace says that Dirty Pair is better than Cowboy Bebop. I'll be honest, I've never watched Dirty Pair. I'm aware of it. I could identify it, I think maybe like a cover or something, but I haven't actually watched it, so I'm not aware. But I was under the impression that Dirty Pair was designed to be more of a comedy, and while Cowboy Bebop does have some lighthearted moments, I would say overall it's closer to a drama and adventure story. But correct me if I'm wrong. I definitely would love to know. That's just my understanding. What inspires you, Chris? What inspires me? All sorts of other art, basically. Paintings, natural beauty of mountains and oceans and stuff like that. Photos, reading books. Anytime I'm sort of engaged in something artistic, a creative pursuit, it could be gardening. Sometimes that, or a really well done meal by a good chef. Anytime I'm sort of seeing something that a human being has created with a lot of imagination and hard work, that inspires me. Maybe that sounds very esoteric, but it is true for me personally. Like if I go out to a really nice sit down dinner and the presentation of the main course, it can really inspire me. The flavors and stuff, the smells. I don't know. Hello, Seahots. Hello, Baby J. Hello, Oda King. You enjoyed my Absalom Dak Dalek killer episode. Thank you. Have a look at the Dirty Pair movie if you want a good entry point. Okay, thanks for the heads up. I'll keep that in mind. TARDIS Rider saying, is it primarily TV shows or comics? It's primarily a 26-episode TV show, one animated movie that fits in between two episodes. Sort of its own standalone, but a lot of the episodes are standalone. And that's it. It was adapted into manga, essentially concurrently, but I think in this case, the real deal is the the anime, which is a little different from what you'll typically hear from me, where but basically whatever sort of originated something is what makes me excited, or at least the first time you're introduced to something, All right, so I'm just grabbing a brush pen because it's a little thicker, and I think it can give me a nice outline that's both smooth and I'm able to sort of have some hints of dog fur. What other questions? Art in whatever form is inspirational. I love hearing people's creative process. I do too. And if I could ever do this show full time, one thing I would love to do is I do happen to know a fair amount of artists, and I think I've got an entry point to meet others. And what I would love to do is almost spend a full day or so really delving into somebody's day-to-day creative process, trying to find inspiration within what becomes mundane. It's really delving into the actual work. So that's something I would really love to do if I had the time and sort of the budget, essentially. So who knows, maybe someday. Other questions. Let's see. People talking to each other. Is there any questions? No, I guess not right now. Okay. You know what? I'm going to take off my sweatshirt because I guess today's actually kind of warm. Maybe you can sort of even see that it's brighter than sometimes when I'm recording because it's quite sunny out today. So I'm quite warm. Anybody doing anything fun this upcoming weekend? We got I know most people have weekends. Today is my weekend. My work schedule's different every week, so I happen to be on my... today's basically my Sunday, but the rest of you all, for the most part, have regular weekends. Anybody got anything cool coming up, like a convention or a trip? Working this weekend. I hear that, Connor. Comic Tropes presents A Day in the Life of Creator. Yep. I'm practicing for High School Musical. Oh, that actually sounds kind of fun. Because it's I like collaborative art. I think that like one of the biggest challenges in comics is you work so much on your own part. You don't necessarily get to work side by side with the other people that you're doing the artwork on. So it can sometimes be a little bit of a lonely process. Sometimes that's cool because you can just sort of, veg out to podcasts, music, etc. But it can also be sometimes a little frustrating to sort of be alone. And so I definitely am occasionally envious of art like plays and stuff like that. That's I hope that goes well for you. Really want to spend Saturday playing Sekiro. That must be a new video game. I feel like I've heard that one. WonderCon on Saturday. Oh, that's a big convention. That sounds very fun. I hope you have a great time at it. The monumental April Fool's holiday coming up. Don't expect anything from me for April Fool's. I do like pranks a lot, but I feel like people almost expect like fake stories on blogs and social media and things like that on April Fools. So I'm like, well, is this a prank or is it just lying? So I'm not saying never, but in general, I don't find that exceptionally funny on websites when they're like, Marvel decided to shut down its movie-making division because of internal strife. And then you're like, wait, what? Oh, I get it. It's an April Fool's article. That's some hilarious stuff there, guys. If you like collaboration, have you ever played the Exquisite Corpse exercise game? I have. Exquisite Corpse can be very, very fun, especially in comics. What it is, if you haven't heard, and I'm sure several of you have, but if you haven't, basically somebody starts a story, and then you hand it off to the next person. No pre-planning or anything. The person just reads what's already been there and takes it from there. So when I first moved to DC in like 2003, I made some friends, and we had pretty regular meetings at a really big bar. And it was a cool bar because it was not overly loud, very spacious. Used to be a car dealership, and it was set up with lots of couches and deep plush seats. And you could rearrange the tables however it configured to suit your purposes. It was fantastic for us because it was a bunch of comic book writers and artists. We'd meet there once or twice a month, usually twice a month, I think, and we'd collaborate. We would self-publish anthologies and just like work with each other on our individual projects. And these days, they're actually still producing a free newspaper in DC. So if you live in the DC area, there's something called The Magic Bullet by the DC Conspiracy. It's all comic strips. Everybody basically just can do a page. And I think I did do an issue or two of that before I moved out, because that was sort of one of our later projects. There's so much that I could tell you about my time in the DC Conspiracy. It was fantastic. But we did do an Exquisite Corpse exercise. We published, I think, 4 issues of just a fictional cosmic wizard called Dr. Dreamo. And somebody would draw a couple pages, pass it on. Draw a couple pages, pass it on. It was really surreal and interesting to see the different art styles mix and mesh. It was a wonderful project. But we also published a number of anthologies. I still have copies of those that someday I'm going to have to, like put up for sale or something. And then several of the people in that group went on to do some pretty awesome projects. Rafer Roberts is currently, like writing stuff at Valiant and I think Dark Horse. He was a member. My friend Jason Rodriguez published a bunch of mainstream anthologies like Colonial Comics Volume 1 and 2, Postcards. There were books about the history of DC that was an anthology, Trickster. Anyway, so we published a lot of comics, and I really value that time. I learned a lot about sort of working in different areas than I might otherwise have tried. As in, I've always written, I've always drawn, but I haven't always inked, I haven't always lettered, I haven't always colored or edited. In my time there, I did all of those roles. And I think it's so valuable to truly understanding how a comic is created and respecting what goes into, your fellow collaborators' workload. If you can do it yourself, it doesn't mean you have to do it well, but if you can do it yourself, you truly respect and understand the time and the technique involved. There's a lot that you can learn from something like that. All right, that was a long story. What are you going to do when you run out of gachapons? I don't think I plan on replenishing the gachapons. If I go back to Japan, I will, but there is a Discord to answer your quick question. I'm trying to think of where I pinned it. I'm not sure if I've pinned it somewhere. I'll have to look. I'll try to pin it on the Comic Tropes Twitter page. Let's see. Anyway, yeah, I think that the thing is, when I started doing gachapons, I was getting 3 or 4 fan art pieces a week, and now I'm getting, over 10 a week. It's a lot to keep track of, and I can't get to the post office very often, and I start to feel bad that I'm not sending out people's prizes in an exceptionally timely manner. So I'll probably phase that out. But I'm not against showing the artwork. What I was thinking of doing instead was just maybe using it during the opening theme. I'd just show everybody's art that was submitted that week. Something like that. I definitely still want to share it if people want to send it in. But yeah. Oh, okay. Let me take a quick moment here. Connor was kind enough to include the Discord link. So there you go. There's the Discord short link, okay? Have I met Dave Campiti? No, never heard that name. Sorry. I have not heard of Mysterious Girlfriend X. Sorry. Letterers and colorers never get the respect they deserve. Their work, colorists maybe get a little more. A letterer, their work is almost hidden, Same sort of with certain inkers. You notice it when they make a mistake. You don't notice it when they're really good. You're just able to read the comic that much more quickly. So, doing it yourself is definitely the kind of thing that gives you a lot of respect for those roles. And I found that I really enjoy every single role in a comic. My favorite is drawing, followed very closely by writing. I think I'm a better writer than I am an artist. That's just my opinion anyway. But I have had a lot of fun doing lettering and a little bit of coloring over the years. Hello, Flop Whopper. Hello, Von Van Xanax? No, I haven't had time to read Spider-Man 500. Be tough to find that. I thought Todd Klein was the only letterer. No way, man. Todd Klein is great, but I love John Workman. I think that's a great letterer. There are some artists that letter their own work, like Dave Gibbons will frequently letter his own work. I think that looks great. I made an episode about lettering that is personally one of my favorites of the comic tropes that I've made. Do you like martial law? If you're talking about the comic book, then yes. Great video on the Marvel family. Do you think you would ever talk about the ages of DC characters? The ages. I'd have to think about that. Yeah, I hear you on that, Hunter. Dave Sim is a good letterer. He did a hell of a lot for the comics industry with what he's accomplished, and yet it's there's a lot to break down there, and I do plan on covering Dave Sim sometime in the near future. So that'll be interesting. That may divide the audience some. We'll see. I've got some friends that have met him, and they have nothing but nice things to say. Personally, when I read his interviews, I'm like, this guy sounds like a maniac. But who knows? Who knows? Thank you for El Itonata episode. Greetings from Argentina. Oh. Gracias. Have you created any characters? Yeah, but nothing like that's been in any mainstream. I was talking earlier about doing a lot of self-publishing with my friends when I lived in DC. One sec. And I created one character that I was very amused by, called King Lobstro, and he was just this giant lobster man that basically ruled sort of a version of Atlantis. I thought that he was kind of a fun, kind of scary looking but kind and goofy character. And I've written plenty of stories. I've written plenty of stuff that just hasn't been published in any big way. But I've got like a pair of sci-fi stories I would very much like to tell, and I like rough ideas for plenty more. Actually, now that I'm thinking of it, I've got a werewolf story that I think is pretty unique and cool. And I feel like werewolves are a horror character that haven't had too many great sort of stories or movies. They've had a couple, but nothing like vampires or zombies have. So, or even mummies, really. So, I would really like to tell my werewolf story sometime. Did you color the Star-Lord from last week? No, I haven't gotten to that yet. Cool question, but I haven't. Any thoughts on Adam Warren? I legitimately think his 90s stuff is maybe the best American comic art I've seen. He's almost unrecognizable nowadays, though. Oh, has his artwork changed? Is that what you're saying? Because of course I've seen plenty of Adam Warren stuff. Beyond just his creator-owned book, Empowered, there was definitely a time when he was, doing plenty of side stories and fill-in stuff for companies like Image. I'm pretty sure he did several Gen 13 things for Wildstorm back in the day. That sounds right, if I can trust my own memories. But I haven't looked at his, it changed a lot? Oh, wow. Really? Well, out of curiosity, I'll definitely take a look at that when I finish here. I'll Google Adam Warren to see his more recent work, because I hadn't realized that he'd changed. I'm pretty sure he was at the Emerald City Comic Con that I went to like a couple weeks ago, but I if so, I didn't stop at his table or anything, but I feel like I saw him there. I could be wrong. I could be thinking of another artist, but I think I saw him there. Your memories deceive you. Yeah, maybe. Have I seen all the Detective Comics 1000 variants? I did. I went to a midnight release at my local comics store. I just thought that would be fun and unique. So I went to the midnight release of Detective Comics 1000. They had all of them there, and there were definitely some really cool covers. It was tough to choose which one I wanted. I ultimately went with one by Jim Lee that shows his whole sort of... he made a cover for Detective Comics 1000 this past week, and it's not gatefold, but it's like front and back of the comic. And they did one for just the midnight release where they shrunk that down, put it portrait instead of landscape, and it's like the full thing is on just the front. And I just got that because I just thought it looked kind of cool and unique. Steranko is best. I'll talk about Steranko someday. Or are you saying that the Steranko Detective Comics 1000 cover is best? Because he did do one for that. That's probably what you're mentioning, huh? Doggos are so cute. Trick is keeping them cute in your artwork, you know? For instance, if I drew the eyes completely realistic, it might have not been quite as black, but if you just make it a big pool of black with some reflections, I just thought it looked more open and inviting than otherwise. Drawing animals is it's a cool challenge because so much of the time, you know, we focus on drawing people, maybe buildings, but you got to be able to draw cars and dogs and cats, all sorts of creatures. Corgis are naturally cute. Yes, they are. They are. Yeah, I hear you on that, Rob Weiss. Steranko is an interesting character, to put it as kindly as possible. So that'll be interesting. Here's the thing. He hasn't done considering like when he started in comics, he hasn't done that many. He still does the occasional small project and stuff, but he has not done that much. It's interesting is all. It's not like a critique or a plus or a minus. It's really just a small observation there. He's very well remembered for his out there bonkers sci-fi stuff that he did with Nick Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D., but I feel like he just hasn't done that much. Cho seemed deranged when I met him at Big Wow in 2015. I met Frank Cho once also, and he was just kind of distant, but I just chalked it up to him being very busy. So I really couldn't tell you, what he's like as an individual. I don't know. I didn't really hold it against him. I was just like, oh, okay, he doesn't really want to talk to anyone today. Okay. Still like his artwork quite a bit. He can draw beautiful women. They do sort of all look a little the same, but hey, if I could draw women that beautiful, I wouldn't be ashamed to draw plenty of them. And I did think that Liberty Meadows was legit pretty funny. I think that's slightly more where his interest lies, is drawing beautiful women and funny animals. And That's not necessarily where the big money in the industry is. He's super nice. Oh, okay. If you dislike a person's art because of their politics, you'll probably never like anything they draw. You know, there's a line somewhere. I think that, like, if somebody has different politics than me, but they're a kind person, I can absolutely still enjoy their artwork, whatever that is. But if they have committed criminal acts, like, personally, I just can't enjoy the Cosby Show. If a rerun comes on, my mind can't make a separation because it's just too big a crime to ignore. So there's a line somewhere. I can accept some, like, Frank Miller seems like he probably has different political views than I do, but I still like a lot of his earlier work a lot, and I think I always will. But if he murdered, like, a family tomorrow, I'm probably never going to be able to look at his artwork and forget that. That's me. Some people can make more of a separation, but I can't. Have we determined who is a good boy yet? Well, I think that it's pretty obvious that it's going to be Einie here. Einie with his little Heine. I grew up kind of scared of dogs. I love them now. But I grew up scared of them because of just a series of bad experiences I had as a kid. We had a dog that my parents had before I was born, and she was overall a pretty sweet girl. Some sort of like... she had some poodle in her, but she was like a medium-sized dog. I'm not sure exactly what she was. She was a mutt, She was overall pretty sweet, especially once I was, like, older. But as a little toddler, I once tripped and fell down the stairs and landed next to her, scared her, understandably, and she nipped me on the nose. So I just had a memory of, like, a dog's face, like, filling my vision and biting me after taking a fall. So... that was there. And then I got bit like twice when I had paper root as a kid. Like, not bad bites, but just like on the hand, like enough to tear skin, and you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Little dogs in both cases. And then I grew up next to a family that had a huge dog, and I'm not sure exactly what he was, but he definitely had German Shepherd in him. And they left him on a leash outside, like, almost all the time. He didn't get a lot of playtime and stuff. So the poor guy probably just wasn't socialized properly. He just barked really loud. He never, like, attacked me or anything like that. I would just, it was just some really loud barking, and I was very, very young. So I was just sort of like, dogs, they bark, and my, like, like my nerves would just, like, I could just feel my body, I guess, tense up when I'd hear lots of barking. But my sister always loved dogs. She just didn't have the same experiences that I did. And she's a little younger, and she just lucked out with some better experiences. And eventually, like, just after I had graduated college, I was briefly living at home and commuting into Boston. And she adopted a border collie. And he was just so loving and so well behaved, he totally changed my opinion. I was like, oh, okay, dogs can be totally rad and really loving and obedient and friendly and fun. They're, like, really fun to play with, and I would take him on walks all the time. So now I really like dogs. Just had some scary experiences when I was growing up. Hello, son of a red shirt. Let's see. Some people talk. Have you ever considered, this is Lego Trekker, cool name. Have I ever considered doing content about cartoonists who weren't necessarily comics artists, writers? I would be interested in content of your style for artists such as Shel Silverstein, for example? That is an interesting idea. I'd have to give it some serious thought. Right now, there are still so many creators, and there's so much I want to say about comics. That probably wouldn't happen anytime soon, but that does sound interesting to me. I'm not saying no, just not like right now. Prostagma says, is it bad I can completely divorce the creator from the art? For example, there's a very famous 90 Mafia figure who became an artist, and I quite enjoy his art. No, I wouldn't say that's necessarily bad. I'm just saying, me personally, there's a line for me, basically. If someone starts using like hate speech or something, like specifically saying that, you know, like, oh, I hate gay people or I hate women or something like that, and like says it a lot, and isn't like, I can't really enjoy their art. I'm like, this is, I remember that, and you know, it would be kind of cool to be able to completely separate it and just appreciate art on its own merits all the time. Sometimes I can. Just because somebody has a difference of opinion does not mean that I'm going to throw it out or anything. There's plenty of artists and writers, etc., that I don't necessarily feel like we'd get along or whatever, but at the same time I like what they do, so I don't think about it. But everybody probably has a different line, is my only point, you know, like what they're okay with. And I'm not judging anybody for having a different line than I have. I'm that way with Patton Oswalt. He was so funny on King of Queens, but he attacked online content creators because they didn't like a movie. I think that is what ruined Orson Scott Card for me. Yeah, so like I'm on two different sides there. Like I don't like Orson Scott Card, but I love Patton Oswalt. But like all I'm saying is we all have a different line. But I can request it. You have a no politics please rule. I want to make it clear that I also don't really want to talk deeply about a specific political issue on my streams. It's not what I'm doing. But it is an interesting question of separating an artist from who they are. I think it's okay, and I think that just we all have probably a little bit different. What would I say? Just a different line that we're okay with. Getting close to this where I'm just going to switch over and color pretty soon. Because I think that like giving him some texture through coloring might make it look a little better. But we'll see. It's fun drawing things like doggy paws and stuff like that. Just so cute. So cute. Pretty sure you and Comics Diversity don't have a lot of fan overlap. I have no idea. I have no idea what that is. I don't think I've actually seen you color on a stream before. Oh, cool. Well, hopefully I've got the colors I need. So let me take a moment here to just look at what my full options are. Ah, this is what I was looking for. So I've got like a bunch of these Copic markers, which are pretty fantastic for coloring because you can like layer things, which is awesome. Coming up with a few options here of what I might use. We need some grays, some different colored grays. Got those. Got that. Just organizing myself, which I'm not the most organized artist. What else? Need sort of a dark red. Possibly that. All right. Greg Capullo said he couldn't draw Batman crying, so he drew a water drop symbolizing him crying. Okay. Can Bruce Wayne be drawn crying? Absolutely. I'm pretty sure I can think of some times where he has. I mean, I can yeah, Jim Aparo. Jim Aparo was a great Batman artist through the 70s and 80s. And Death in the Family, when Jason Todd dies, I'm pretty sure that there's at least one or two panels where Batman is crying, and it looks cool. It looks cool. All right, let's see. Looks like I've still got a little bit of work to do on just these blocks, and I can. What'll be fun there is I can do sort of any color. I'll consider these, but I think they're too bright. And so I'll do these blocks, and then I'll use my Then I'll use my my kneaded eraser. Folks, what's happening to me? I'm losing my mind in front of all of y'all. Use my kneaded eraser to clean it up, and then we'll color. Sound good? Sounds great. Thank you. Appreciate the support. My dog is snoring again. It must make you feel like you're like experiencing this like right in the next room. Batman and Superman both cry in that bizarre Silver Age story where they have a sleepover at the Fortress of Solitude and end up killing an alien species with their honesty. That part I don't remember, but I do sort of remember a story where they're like, and is it the one that ends with like, we fit together like a hand and glove? But I think that they're crying in their civilian identities, if I remember. Maybe I'm thinking of something different. What song is stuck in your head right now? I feel like everybody always has a song stuck in their head if they take a second to think about it. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But I definitely have one in my head right now. All right. I like Transmetropolitan, and I'm sure it's pretty political. A lot of comics are political. There's no way to completely divorce that. I believe that like the vast majority of comics are political on some level. I think that the original superheroes were very much a response to the various problems that America had in terms of, you know, economic differences basically between classes. In many cases, those classes ended up making it also about difference in race. Because like Superman would just go like, cars, they're killing too many innocent people. I'm gonna smash all the car manufacturers and auto dealerships. And that's like a real story. Or they're just running around going like, there's too many corrupt politicians. I'll kill all the corrupt politicians. And it was just like a very simple like way of looking at the world, but that's a way that kids can understand. They're just saying like, this is wrong, and wouldn't it be fun if we could just end the problem by dropping these people from a big height. But I feel like a lot of those Golden Age comics were like that. So comics are kind of propaganda by their nature. I mean, it's you're not dealing with tons of people making them. So like, you know, the artist and the writer have a lot of control to insert their personal beliefs. Now, they're not always going to be overtly political. I'm not trying to say that. A lot of it is adventure based, but you know, you'll still have like characters making moral decisions because that's conflict. So you have to have some of that. Cap used to go after tax cheats. Exactly. I mean, it's like, that may not sound political today, but you know, at one point in time, that was like what was important to people, and that is a political issue. Anyway, let me grab a scrap of paper now to see what these colors are actually like. See if they're options. That's probably too orangey for a corgi. That's a possibility. That's sort of like a light tan. I think that's what I'm going to go with. Just going to also see if I used an orange, if it's too sort of orangey. Chris Evans invades Wesley Snipes' home. Oh, okay. That's too orangey too. It's sort of close if I like put him in like a dark environment, but I don't think that's going to work. Stop it, Milo. My cat wants to come in. That's not too bad, actually. I think this is going to be my best option, but you know what I'm going to do before I put the color on is I'm actually going to use instead some light grays, and then I'll color over those grays. That way I'll be able to sort of add some depth properly and stuff. Your cat knows you're drawing a dog. Yeah, exactly right. Let me think here. This is my W2, and I've also got a W4. So this is the darker one. Okay. Probably won't look like much for a little while, but it means something to me. Once I add the color on top of this, I suspect it will start to look a lot better. We'll see. They're squeaking because I guess this is running a little low on on ink. It's just funny to hear. Did anyone like comics based on the Weird West, like Jonah Hex? He's Rider of the Worms and such. Sure. My boyfriend, who is a teacher and wrestling coach, loves Punisher and Captain America. You should do more action figure fights at the end of your videos. That was funny. That was fun, but I'll tell you something. A little bit of stop motion takes a long time, so that was probably a one-time thing just to do something different. I wish it was easy to just sort of do that when I wanted, but it takes a lot of pre-planning. This is my darker gray, which should help add a little more depth as I continue this process. One also nice thing about working with Copics is you don't necessarily have to be super precise with your line, because you're sort of using it more like paint, and you can sort of blend. It's nice. It's quite nice to experiment like that. I need an even darker gray. There we go. Any question? Oh, I got a super chat. Oh, thank you so much. That's so appreciated. That stuff really, really, really helps. Thank you so, so much. That's very, very kind of you. Let me scroll up so that I can see what it said. Oh, it doesn't say anything. It's just a kind super chat from Andrew Jefferson. Andrew, much appreciated, my friend. Thank you so much. I definitely rely on the income from my channel to supplement what I earn at work. So when you guys give me a super chat, just know that it's not like taken for granted. It really means a lot to me. I don't want to like ask for them, because I don't expect them. Like I'm happy to provide my show for free, but just know that like it means a lot to me when you're in a position and you donate it. Like, you know, it all means a lot to me, because I completely understand the value of $1 to everybody. So thank you. It's just really kind, and yeah, thank you. Alright, I think I'm just about ready to actually add the color. Make this thing hopefully pop. And then I can even see what areas might need more depth with various grays. So I'm going to set my grays to the side because I know I might need them. Whoa! Thank you so much, TR Schultz. That's really awesome. Yeah, somebody asked what I do outside of the channel. I got my degree in marketing, and for more than 15 years, I worked, in an office developing all sorts of promotional campaigns, social media, all sorts of ways to sort of sell products and services. But I moved out here to the Seattle area for a job, and I don't know that many people out here. I worked for several years for a fantastic job, but I did get laid off, and so now I am selling used cars to pay the bills. It's all right. I like my coworkers and my bosses and stuff. It's not really what I want to do for long term, but and it doesn't quite pay what anywhere close really to what I used to make. So that's why this channel has become very important to me actually in sort of subsidizing my income. But that makes me feel kind of proud of myself that I'm creating something that can help my fiance and I sustain our lifestyle and pay our bills and stuff. It means a lot to me that I'm creating something that's relevant to several of you out there. So thank you all for even just like watching, subscribing, because like I get things like ad revenue, of course. It means a lot. Yeah. And I enjoy what I'm doing. I really enjoy, like I'm talking about comic tropes. I enjoy making the show. It's a real challenge to keep coming up with a breadth of topics that will hopefully address like what people want to see as well as maybe what they need to see. Like let them be introduced to new things occasionally that hopefully they might find interesting, if not to necessarily read, to at least hear about. So that's sort of what I'm trying to do with the channel. All right, let's see. Okay, people are talking about DS9 and Babylon 5. That's cool. Any skit with Infotron is always my favorite. Well, thank you. I was really proud of creating that suit for the show. And shortly after I started using it, a couple viewers told me that there's a more popular channel called Comic Book Girl, and that she uses sort of a 1950s style robot. So I was like, oh, well, that's unfortunate for me because I definitely don't want people to think that I'm trying to rip off somebody else's idea or presentation. So that's why I don't use him too much. I use him sparingly because I think it's a funny character to insert. It just looks funny visually, but if I used it all the time, I don't want people to think that what I'm trying to do is what somebody else is doing with their channel. And it seems like, and it doesn't even matter. She probably came up with it first, but even if she didn't, it doesn't matter because the more popular channel has more viewers, so they're always going to assume somebody with less viewers took the idea from them. So that happened fairly early on. I used Infotron fairly early on, and it reinforced the decision that I was basically thinking I'd do anyway, which is not to watch other YouTube channels that discuss comic book like reviews and stuff. So I wish I could, but I don't want to ever be accused of plagiarizing somebody's content. So I don't watch other channels that review comics. One thing that I came across more recently that I was so excited to find was Cartoonist Kayfabe. That's two cartoonists, Jim Rugg and Ed Piscor, who are published and working artists in the comics industry, and they created a show. It is about like discussing comics. However, instead of like usually like reviewing a different comic each week, they're reviewing things like Wizard Comics and talking about the history of comics as well as talking about various artists that are featured in there. And I feel like it's so different that there's no way I can do exactly what they're doing. So it's been a real pleasure to discover that and feel like I can watch some comic book related content without worrying about they're doing the same thing I am, or I'm going to do the same thing that they are. So that's been a real discovery for me. I bought my first comics after I started watching your videos. They made my inner comic fan come out, and I'm loving it. That's so exciting to hear. That's so cool. All this time I thought Infotron was living in your basement. Well, he does, in a sense. In a sense. Infotron lives down there, and it depends on what I remember about his history as to whether he's living with his cousin or his girlfriend. I don't know. But all I know is he's into the water heater. But I don't remember exactly why, because I don't use him often enough. I've forgotten Infotron's full history. I'll have to look it up sometime. See, by giving this is what's great about using Copics, is even if I'm using strokes and they're not like blending perfectly, all it does is sort of give it like a fur-like texture. So I'm very happy with the look of Copics on something like this. I just hope that the person that I'm doing the commission for likes it. That's kind of important. Infotron origin story? I don't know if does Infotron have his own origin story? That's a good question. He has an origin somewhere. I'm sure eventually we'll do that. I like having a character other than me, or having an excuse to get outside of my set, which is why early on you saw me visiting like other comic book stores and stuff so often. That sort of became hard to keep finding new ones like that I could easily visit like within my distance. So I don't do that too often anymore. But so anyway, I love having extra characters like, Infotron or something like that. But what am I trying to say? I'm losing my train of thought while I'm also focusing on my artwork. I don't know. It doesn't matter, I guess. I gave all my comics to my son. Awesome. That's really cool. Chris bought Infotron from the Jawas. Yeah, I want his origin to honestly be something super mundane like that I just like picked him up somewhere. Like somebody else like built him for like some other purpose and I just picked him up. My favorite artist is Bill Sienkiewicz. Who's yours? It does sort of vary here and there. Let me see. Who's my favorite? I do tend to follow writers more than artists these days. So I'll like get anything, for instance, that Ed Brubaker writes. I just really like his work. And I also really like Brian K. Vaughan. He's somebody that I'll get anything. But, favorite artist. I have to think about it. But I do appreciate Bill Sienkiewicz. I met him at a convention, and man, it's awesome seeing his work process. Like when he's just doing something for fun, I've seen him like use all sorts of different materials, including like whiteout, and keep sort of re-envisioning what he's aiming for, and like eventually like even completely paint over like like what he's created. Which you're like, oh no, it's going away. Like what he created is gone, but it's all part of his process and sort of like building and building until he gets to what he wants. It's kind of dope. All right, Ein, let's color in your dog tag next. Then I'll probably go back into some of his fur with some grays to give it a little more texture here and there. But overall, personally, I kind of like this. Maybe I won't tomorrow, but for now I do. One of my favorite artists is Steve Dillon. Yeah, I totally agree, William Kriebel. I used to read pretty much anything that Steve Dillon did as well, and I'm very proud that I do own an original piece of art by him. It's it's a Gen 13 piece, so it's not like, necessarily as popular as The Punisher or Preacher, but it is like a gag page where Gen 13 bumps into Jesse Custer. So I'm very proud to own that. Yeah. And I miss that guy. He was great. Hunter Lyons saying, speaking of Bill Sienkiewicz, that he hopes the movie is good. I'll be honest, I'm sincerely curious if either Dark Phoenix or New Mutants will get released, because they've both been delayed, supposedly because they each needed reshoots. And now that Disney has acquired them, I'm sure they'll want to monetize it somehow. But they literally may not want to release that in theaters if it's bad, because at this point they're like, well, we didn't sink that specific money in or approve it or anything. Like they may not want it to damage their brand, essentially. So I think it's possible that it'll get released on like a streaming service or something. We'll see. I really wish I was a little more solvent right now, brother. I cheerfully contribute to your channel on a regular basis. You're one of my few regular YouTube channels I love. Oh, well, that's really kind of you to say, son of a red shirt. Like I said, I definitely do not expect it from everybody. When people have been able to contribute, I'm very grateful, but I definitely don't expect it. I know that everybody has a unique financial situation. I'm not really in a position where I can support a lot of things. So I wouldn't expect anybody else to necessarily be in a better place. I would love to be able to have Hulu or the upcoming Disney Plus or CBS All Access so that I could sort of watch, or DC Universe streaming service. You know what I'm saying? I'd love to have some of these services so that I could watch comic book related shows and other shows that I like. But I'm not in a position to do that right now. So I completely understand when other people aren't. And I definitely do not expect it from anybody. I'm always grateful for any financial support I get. But even just watching the channel and, watching videos or something is super, super helpful. So definitely don't... what I'm ultimately trying to say is do not feel bad about that at all, please. When I can, Chris, your channel will be the first. Oh, well, cool. Thanks for hooking me up to Kayfabe. Oh, cool. Yeah, I'm glad you like it. I really enjoy that show too. Cartoonist Kayfabe, quite good. That was a very nice discovery to come across them. And we've talked I don't know if I've really talked to Jim, but I know I've heard back from Ed, and we're both open to doing some sort of a collaboration. We don't know exactly what that would be, but we're open to that idea because so hopefully someday. By the way, Ed had done some inking live streams of his X-Men Grand Design, and kind of like what I'm doing now, and I hope he returns and does some more at some point. It looks like he's finished Grand Design, but if Jim or Ed want to live stream, there's a lot to learn from those cats, so I hope that they consider doing that sometime. Cartoonist Kayfabe is what I'm talking about, if you're just joining or anything. Another YouTube channel that's about comics in a different way than mine is, and I really respect it. Doom Patrol is a surprising amount of fun. I recommend. Oh, okay, cool. Do you ever see yourself go back through the chat and read the messages? You are the one being hostile and bigoted. Oh, talking to somebody else. Phew, I thought somebody was saying that I was hostile. I hope not, man. Whew. But please don't argue, folks. It's just not worth it. Titans is solid. That's interesting. Boy, a lot of us sure thought that thing had a weak first trailer, but that's cool to hear that it's not too bad. All right, another block. add some color. I think I'm going to do all cool colors on these letters. Hopefully that just provides enough of a contrast so that like Ein's sort of light fur looks a little warmer by contrast. I don't know if it'll work, but that's the thought process on this piece of artwork. Damn, I watch the regular episodes regularly, but this is my first live stream. I seen the title and was interested in seeing your artwork. Definitely impressed. Well, thank you for the compliment. That's really nice. You're about the least confrontational that people get online. Hopefully, like online, yeah. Because man, online, you can't really win an argument, in my opinion. You can present your side, but I don't think it's hard to change people's opinions in general. It's extra hard to do it online where there's no physical interaction. Sometimes you're dealing with the limitations of how much you can type or, even like share your name. So it's just, I found arguing online very worthless. Try to pretty much always gone by my real name online, so that I'm sort of accountable to what I say. I've always sort of had this rough idea in the back of my head, which isn't like based on an actual desire, but like, what if I ever went into politics? I've always like from like, the early 90s thought, well, whatever I'm putting online could be pulled up at some point. And used against me so I sort of use a little bit of that logic. I'm going to be very honest with my opinions and I'll stand behind them, but I also am not going to start arguments. At least that's not my goal. I don't feel like you can really win them online. I figured the simple idea of putting Ein's name in blocks would be something that he could do to show his intelligence that nobody would really take notice of with his crew on the Bebop. They're just too wrapped up in their own lives. They always miss the signs of Ein's intelligence. Hey, now that I haven't watched it in forever, maybe he actually does do something like this on the show. I can't remember. I just realized maybe I'm subconsciously remembering something he does on the show. I don't know if he ever spelled his name or anything. I know he used the computer. I know he pushed chess pieces. Can't really remember him spelling his name in blocks, but it's entirely possible he did. Yeah, totally recommend Cowboy Bebop. If you've got any sort of like resistance to anime, I can understand. There's some bad stuff out there, just like there's some bad stuff in every field. And it can be hard to know what's good. But I definitely think that Cowboy Bebop is a solid watch that like a lot of people can enjoy. Thanks for understanding. You're good people and put out excellent content. You're so kind. Always look forward to your videos, though I don't always comment. I do always hit the like button. Well, cool. People talking about Grimjack. What sorts of anime do you watch nowadays? I don't think I've really watched much in a little while as far as anime goes. I'm trying to think of... This past summer, my fiance discovered Miyazaki, and I was happy to rewatch a lot of that with her. We even saw several of it in several movies in the theater, like Porco Rosso and Totoro. But and then I rewatched Akira on Blu-ray like a week ago. But as far as something new, I guess I've watched some One Punch Man and some My Hero Academia, but I'm more into the manga in both cases. So, yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I've discovered in a while. It's been a while since I've watched some anime. I watched Monster, and I watched... what's the other one that I'm thinking of? Death Note. Again, in both cases, I preferred the manga, but it was interesting. We didn't see Grave of the Fireflies yet, Scott. Good question, but we haven't seen that one yet. I don't think I've even seen that one yet. Do graphic adaptations of James Branch Cabell. Okay, I'll have to look that one up. Satoshi Kon is very good, especially Perfect Blue. Marnie was here. Okay. This time last year, Chrissy and I were in Japan and Hong Kong, and it reminded me of our last trip there, which was 2 years ago. Now it's 3 years ago, and we went to the Studio Ghibli Museum. Fantastic! What a wonderful experience that was. So much to learn and uncover there. It was very special. They take you through some rooms where they show you how every step of the animation process goes, from writing to referencing like backgrounds or tools and stuff, painting the backgrounds, painting the cells for the actual animation, taking you through a history of animation, talking you about like certain characters that they've created. It was a really beautiful museum. I'm looking for a color right now. I'm looking for the lightest sort of brown that I have. Something very faint. I'm not really finding something. I will use a gray instead. Just can't quite find what I'm looking for. Just sort of blending some of the grays with a mid-tone that I have. Yeah, I think that blending it looks a little better. And then I'm just going to add this gray to the rest of the blocks. I don't want them white. I want them to stand out a little more from the white background. What other questions are there? Howl's Moving Castle. Yeah, that was a fun one to see. What else? Cowboy Bebop, Grave of the Fireflies, and Gunbuster are probably the saddest endings I've seen in anime. Yeah, those are pretty sad endings. Mamoru Hosoda is a great filmmaker too. If you haven't seen his films, especially Wolf Children, I highly recommend. Okay. I love the art by Gurihiru in Gwenpool. Katsuhiro Otomo. I would say that overall, there's so much to say about Katsuhiro Otomo. I'm going to have sort of a, not like right away, more towards the end of the year, a pretty big episode about Katsuhiro Otomo. There's pretty impressive career, but just exceptional work. He doesn't do nearly enough, in my opinion. Wish we could see a lot more by him. Sorry, I just realized I was about to whistle Super Mario Brothers. Can't do that. Can't do that. Don't want to get myself banned from YouTube. That's an overstatement. But they wouldn't like it. Copyright strike. Demonetized. Exactly. Do you think you will ever do a Ralph McQuarrie episode? Star Wars wouldn't be Star Wars without his awesome input. Yeah, that's again like someone earlier was like, would I ever do somebody like Shel Silverstein? Yeah, there's a lot of fantastic illustrators that are sort of comic book adjacent. I would consider it. I'm not sure. The closest I can say I'll get for now is that I would do some more comic strips, because I did Dick Tracy. There are a couple other important comic strips worth discussing. That really is where comic books came from, is comic strips. So I think that comic strips, in the newspapers are totally fair game for what I cover on this channel. So that's the first. I'll get through some of those before I get to like any other artists outside of that. And that kind of does it for this piece, folks. So hit me up if you've got like any like last minute questions or anything. I'm happy to take a quick look. But I think that'll do it for drawing Ein. There's a through line from Mobius to McQuarrie that absolutely shows. Yeah, but I sort of talked about that already in my Mobius video. Calvin and Hobbes, I definitely will cover. Ellis Krieger, I definitely will talk about Calvin and Hobbes at some point. Missed a couple questions. Sorry, folks. James Branch Cabell's The Thin Queen of L Fame is James Joyce's something or other. Okay. Cyberpunk. I would be genuinely worried for this channel if he used any of Watterson's art. He tends to smack down any unauthorized use. Review is fair use. Review is not the same as like reprinting and trying to profit off of somebody. Review is always fair game. You're going to find other reviews of Calvin and Hobbes out there, I'm sure. Burke Breathitt's Bloom County. Yeah, that could be an interesting one to discuss at some point. I agree with that. So, yeah, I'm glad that, I feel like this came out kind of cute. Hopefully, let's see, if I moved it a little closer, you can sort of see some of the colors and detail and stuff. Yeah. So that's my take on Ein from Cowboy Bebop. Just gonna blend in a couple areas because they don't look fur-like enough for me, so I'm just doing thinner lines to overlap what's already there, and hopefully it all sort of blends together. Oh yeah, this is definitely working actually. Huh. Should have done more of this. When my sister sees this, she's going to ask me to do some dog drawings. I just know it. Hopefully she doesn't see it, because otherwise she's just going to be like, I didn't know you could draw dogs like that. Draw me some more dogs. Okay. Family. She loves dogs. Nobody show this to her. Do you know when the next stream will be? I don't know off the top of my head. Going back to work tomorrow, so... what's today? Today is Thursday, right? Let me look at my work calendar. I'll figure out when I probably do. When did you start taking commissions? I'm not taking personal commissions right now. A friend of mine had a financial hardship. He started a GoFundMe. I volunteered to do some commissions that could help him with that. So, yeah, just and they've already all sold out, I'm afraid. I'll see if I can open some more, but and I might be open to doing some in the future, but I don't know. Like right now, I'm just sort of doing this as like an emergency help for a friend. What's today's date? Today must be the 28th or something. Yeah, I think it's the 28th. So I would say that the next time I'm likely to do a live stream would be, I think I should have some time on the 2nd. So if you're curious, I'll probably be doing more artwork on the 2nd. In the meantime, let's see. I got 10 requests. How many have I done? I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I've done half of them. I've done half. So I've got 5 more that I've already agreed to do. So on the 2nd, you can count on me coming back unless something weird comes up. But yeah. Let's see, Windsor McKay, that would be a good one. Rat Queens, sure, I could do that at some point. Madhouse does some dope animation. You smashed the like button. I hope you didn't smash it too hard. That's the danger. Hey bros, remember to smash that like button. Remember to click the bell icon so that you get notifications every time Comic Tropes goes live. All right, woo, we're going to do some pranks. Let's go do some pranks. Cursed Pirate Girl. Man, I've definitely considered doing Cursed Pirate Girl, and the only thing that pauses me from covering Jeremy Bastian's comic is the fact that it isn't done yet, and I feel like it would be very... I know the pain of, like, waiting for the next issue, and I talked to him, actually, at the most recent Emerald City Comic-Con. He thinks that maybe by the end of this year he'll have another issue out, but, you know, that's... in other words, that comic is coming out kind of slowly, but it is something I love. It's a great comic, Cursed Pirate Girl. Like, it reminds me of The Wizard of Oz. That's the best thing I can say about it. It's the artwork and the story is incredible. Maybe I will do it. Prank the comic book store by actually buying physical comics. I do. Do the floss dance to be hip with the kids, you know. This camera can't keep up with my moves. Can you show that colored Captain Marvel again? Yeah, I actually still have a little bit of coloring to finish on it, but that was the first one. So just sort of... And actually, while I'm overall fairly happy with it, I think that I could definitely have approached this better. I wasn't thinking... When I drew the pose... I had the idea that she's in the air. But is she flying up or is she coming down? Well, obviously I had 2 different ideas as I was drawing it because I had the hair going up as though she's coming down. But then by the time I got down here, I drew her sash coming down. So I was like, oh, I drew it 2 different ways. So then I sort of just put this cosmic energy all around her, which can sort of, no, it's fine. She's just floating in midair, and that makes everything go out. Yeah, that was my logic there. But I'm pretty happy with that one. All right, folks, this is the paper that I like to use. Totally gets a recommend. Very, very smooth. Very different experience than your traditional Bristol, but it does not bleed. Archive quality. Ugh, and I'm yawning. I've still got to finish some work on the next Comic Tropes that'll come to you this weekend. So, yeah, I think I'm going to take off now, but I really appreciate you all watching. I appreciate the good questions, and I sincerely appreciate the super chats as well. That's super kind of you. So I currently plan on being back on April 2nd. Please read that title with a French accent. Paris, Bebop, for Pains. I think I nailed that. So, gotta check my glasses. All right, no, it's pens. P-E-N-S. No other letters there. Pens. A pen. A pen. There's many examples of pens, folks. All right. My favorite indie comic, we'll say The Tick. All right, folks, I'm taking off. Thank you so much for watching. Until I see you next time, I want you to keep reading comics. Take care.